Okay, if you're following along with us, we just got setting up security on our wireless router. We added a Windows XP computer to our wireless network. We also took a flash drive and created a special file on that flash drive that we can use on this computer and other computers to automatically connect to our wireless network. Okay, but first, before we do that, we're going to cover the manual way of connecting a Vista computer to a wireless network. So just like Windows XP, we start down here in the right hand corner down by the clock, and we look for these little icons. And this says we are not currently connected to a network, which is never a good sign. So we basically just right click on that and select Network and Sharing Center. Windows XP has utilities scattered all over the place. Windows Vista took all the networking utilities and put them in one convenient location. So as you can see, there's not much going on here. We've got absolutely no connections to anything. So the obvious place to click would just be Connect to a Network. And here we are. Windows cannot find any networks. So I did this on purpose just to illustrate a point. This is something that a lot of people do, and then they kind of panic because they think there's something wrong with their computer or the router or whatever. And it typically is just that they forgot to turn on the little wireless networking switch on their laptop. So let me just go ahead and take care of that real quick. And like magic, our networks appear. Still, we're not connected to any of them. So in order to connect to one of these networks, it's just like Windows XP. It's a very simple matter of just selecting the network we want to connect to, clicking on it, and then it'll ask us for our passphrase, or in the case of this machine, which has just been recently upgraded to Windows Vista Service Pack 2, it now works with WPS to a degree, just like Windows 7 does. So now, instead of seeing the usual little text boxes to type our passphrase into, it's giving us the opportunity to use the configuration button on the wireless router. Okay, well, we're not going to go there in this video because there are caveats to Windows Protected Setup that take a bit of explaining, and I actually covered that in another video. So if you want to go to my website, you can see where I cover all the ins and outs of Windows Protected Setup, also known as WPS. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to skip down to here and say, I want to enter the network key or passphrase instead. And then we enter the network key or passphrase. And I'm going to try to get it right. And as you can see, there's also an option down here for our good old USB flash drive that we created on the Windows XP workstation. But we're not going to do that right now. We're just going to continue on with what we were doing. Successfully connected to Ding-a-ling. Now when you say save this network connection, what that does is it preserves those settings in an area that you can find right up in here. Manage wireless networks. And this is where the computer saves all of the wireless networks that you've connected to this point, including hotspots, coffee shops, etc., etc. Oh, okay, so what we want to choose here is we want to choose home. If you're ever out in public and not behind a firewall, you want to click public location. What that does is it turns off file and printer sharing and makes it pretty difficult for other people to get anything off of your computer. In this case, we're behind a firewall, so I'm going to click home. And there you have it. We have a connection to the Ding-a-ling network and to the internet as well. Okay, so what I was going to show you before was manage wireless networks. This is where all the networks that we've connected to up to this point are saved. Okay, this is not a true network, so what we can do is we can just remove this network. And this is a network that was in my computer shop. This is another wireless network. This is another wireless network. And this is the network we're currently connected. Okay, now I want to show you how easy it is to use that USB flash drive that we created on the XP machine to connect this computer to a wireless network. So first we're going to do is we're going to disconnect from the wireless network that we're currently on. We're going to pop the USB drive into the computer. Now sometimes, depending on your autoplay setup, a little wireless icon will pop up, but if not, that's fine. Just go down here to Open Folder and View Files. And then we can find our magic little file and double click on it. Do you want to add this computer to the wireless network Wingding? Oh, and I want to mention that this is case sensitive. You have successfully added this computer to the wireless network Wingding. Okay, so have we really? Well, let's see what's going on down here. Identifying Wingding. So all by itself, it's gone out, found the Wingding network, and it's trying to get an IP address. So let's see what's going on here in Networking Sharing Center. Identifying. And it automatically added the network Wingding and connected to it. So let's go take a peek in here, and there's the newly created network. We didn't have to add any network parameters or mistype any passphrases. Okay, well, now your question may be, well, if I want to create one of those magical flash drives and I don't have an XP machine, how do I do it from a Windows Vista machine? Well, it's pretty simple. It's kind of hard to find and not quite intuitive, but what you want to do is you want to click on Set up a connection or network, and then set up a wireless router or access point. That's for another video. You can check that out on my website. Okay, for now we're just going to go with create a wireless network setting and save it to a USB flash drive. Same thing as we did on the XP machine. We specify what our network is, and I'm just going to do something random here. And it'll give us the option to create its own random passphrase, or we can add something else. And then it's going to ask file and printer sharing settings. Okay, and then it's the same thing. So what it's doing now is it's overriding the settings that we created on the XP machine, but I don't really care. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes, and I want you to see what it looks like. Okay, so there you have it. Now you know pretty much all the ins and outs of connecting a Windows Vista computer to a wireless network.